Welcome to the WoW News for the week. I'm Mox. This week has been an interesting news week, mostly because we're at that weird point in the patch where no new things are really happening, but with Race to World First over, it's time to start some of the other regular events that usually happen in a patch cycle. First off, we have the Arena World Champions, which is starting tomorrow our time, Friday US time, which is super exciting, given how much PvP has been a huge impact on gearing this expansion so far. We've seen more people than ever actually get into PvP. We had Preach sit down with Complexity Limit and with Echo, the world first raiding guilds, and one of the interesting things that came up in that interview was they said that they pushed their raiders past 2400 rating so that they could gear efficiently and fill those extra slots. And for a lot of classes, PvP gear has best stats. I know for my warrior in particular, a lot of the PvP gear has haste verse on it, which is what I need as my primary stats. Also coming next week, we have the Mythic Dungeon International event, which is always a blast to watch some of the best Mythic Plus players in the world. It will be interesting this year to see how much Mythic Plus gear they're actually wearing, or if most of them are going to be in raid gear because of the higher item level. I'd imagine we'd see most of them in Mythic raiding gear, 2400 rating PvP gear, with the odd piece of Mythic Plus gear here or there. But it'll be interesting to see how it happens anyway. I'm also particularly interested in some of the routing choices that'll be made in the Mythic Dungeon Invitational. Particularly, I want to see in the other side, right at the end, where you have the Artificer encounter and you have all those cranes in the lake, what they do there. How many of those they're pulling? Are they going to save Prideful for that? Are they going to pull the dragon or not? It'll be interesting to see what the actual meta routing is there. I think what will be likely is they'll try and save Prideful for that pack. Maybe try and get Prideful just before it, and then do a very significant pull for that room with the Prideful buff, and murder that room down. But it'll be interesting to see how it happens nonetheless. I'm also interested to see Mists of Tina Scythe, if they have a cheese strat for it, if they're going to use like a weak aura for the maze. I can't imagine they will. They'll probably just have the healer do it while they're in there. But it'll be interesting to see, and I think Mists of Tina Scythe has a high percentage chance of messing people up with that maze. Well, the maze isn't too difficult, and these people have probably run it 1,000 times already, if not more. It'll still be interesting to see if we have an upset there. Other things that happened this week, game director Ian Hazzikostas sat down with PC Gamer to talk about everyone's favourite topic, loot. PC Gamer brought up what we're all feeling, where loot in content outside of PvP is just feeling really sparse. It's really easy to level a character, maintain a character, catch up on renown, but it is very difficult at the moment to gear through grinding dungeons and through raid. And so it's quite easy to get up to 190 item level. You can get to 190 pretty comfortably through your Covenant campaign, through some unrated PvP, and you'll be 190 realistically by the time you hit max level. If you just do the Covenant campaign now and do some odd dungeons while leveling, you'll be at a renown level where you can be 190 item level within a day or two of hitting max level. And that's kind of crazy, because to get from 190 item level to 210 item level, which is only a 20 item level difference, and keep in mind, when we first leveled through, I was at 125 item level when I hit max level, and that was mostly Mythic Ny'alotha loot. So I went from 125 item level to 190 item level, and now you can just come out at 190. Like, that's a massive jump. That extra 20 item levels from 190 to 210 though, you have to start doing Heroic Castle Nathria. You have to start doing 2100, 2200 rated PvP. It's a lot bigger of an ask to do that little extra bit through anything that isn't PvP. And that's what they brought up. And one of the suggestions that they mentioned, that a lot of the player base has also spoken about in the past, is bringing back Valor points. For those of you who may not have played in some of the earlier days of WoW, Valor Points was a system where once you'd completed your dungeon, you got tokens, and then you could spend those tokens at a vendor to purchase gear. It let you, even if you never got a drop in a dungeon, eventually you would get a full set of dungeon gear. And now that we have the PvP system, and universal praise to the PvP system, the PvP gearing system is fantastic. Now that we have that, and the game directors have seen that it's perfect, I think we're going to get to a point where Valor Points probably will come back at some point in this expansion to make gearing feel a little easier. I know, and I'm sure most of you do as well, there are plenty of people now who have done Mists of Tir na Scythe for the Trinket 5 billion times. And we just need some bad luck protection against that. Yes, RNG is good. RNG is why we play the game. It's what feeds the reward center in our brain. But we can't just have just RNG all the time. You need bad luck protection. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. Because there's only so many times that you can see items drop for other people constantly and not get the one that you need before you end up just not playing anymore, basically. PC Gamer also speculated in their interview with Ian Hazzikostas that the patch 9.1 should come out in spring US seasons, which for Australians is between March and June. Now, this gives us some interesting timeline of events. You see, BlizzConline, which is Blizzard's replacement for BlizzCon from last year, is due for February the 19th. So if we have February the 19th, that means we'll get quite a lot of information about patch 9.1 at BlizzConline, or it'll probably be drowned out by all of the new Diablo information that we're going to get, which I'm fairly excited about, but we'll get some patch 9.1 information. And then patch 9.1 releasing about a month later makes sense. Maybe a month and a half, which will push it into April. I think this is good timing because a lot of people haven't already completed this tier of raiding. This raid is so difficult for the average player that most people haven't even cleared it on heroic yet. Looking at my realm, our Team 1, who are now progressing Stone Legion Generals, so they're now 8 of 10 in heroic, I think are 5th on the server for Horde progression. We don't count Alliance on our server because there's a billion of them, and one of them is Ethical, who is a top 500 worldwide guild. But in Horde only, we're top 5 on the server at only 8 of 10. Which is interesting this late in an expansion. And I think this is the longest it's taken a lot of progression guilds to get this far. So I think by April we'll see a lot more people being able to get their AOTC, which is your sort of ideal balance. And I think it's not so bad having this longer time in between content patches if the content, like it has been, is genuinely good, genuinely engaging, and just a bunch of fun to play. In other news this week, Twisting Corridors finally came out with a resounding Jesus Christ, why the fuck does this take 4 hours? A kid, for most people, it's a more reasonable 1.5 to 2 hours, which is still a fairly significant time sink, especially when you're not guaranteed to be able to finish. A lot of people have been scared off because in the normal Torghast runs, there is often an occasion where you'll get to the final boss and just not be able to kill him. The whole run through Torghast up until that point will be a cakewalk. You'll one-shot every mob, and you'll get up to the boss and he'll kill you 7 times in a row. Twisting Corridors is the same, only it's going to take you 1.5 hours, 2 hours. I've seen some people, like the famous Hazelnutty, saying that she was taking 4 hours a run. And it's just a long time. Now, granted, I actually really like Torghast. I think it's a great game mode. I love the randomness, I love the variety, I enjoy doing it. But committing 2 hours of time to a single instance is almost as much time as I commit to raiding. You know, a normal raid run for us is 2.5, 3 hours. On a particularly long raid night, we do 4 hours. So I can spend 4 hours raiding, or I can do 2 layers of Torghast, which is only going to get me cosmetics, be it very cool cosmetics, but it's still quite a time investment for your average player. I don't think they should change the game mode though. I think the regular Torghast, the Torghast that rewards Soul Ash, should be shortened. I think that should come down to 4 floors instead of 8, just so that it's a nice quick weekly activity, bit of fun. Make it difficult. I think keep the difficulty the same, just cut out the middle layers. So you've got, let's make layer 1 equivalent to layer 2, make level 2 equivalent to layer 4, and just double the difficulty on all of them. And I think it would be a much more enjoyable experience for everybody. Also this week, Blizzard have reported that the DDoS attack has continued on their servers. I don't know, I think Oceanic Blizzard servers probably run on a Dorito, powered by a bank of potato batteries. But Blizzard say it's a DDoS attack, and the effects of this mean that the zone the world boss is in, which is Ardenweald, is basically unplayable. I remember trying to log into a toon that was in Ardenweald. I sat in a loading screen for probably 3 minutes, which is a fairly long amount of time for what I'm used to. Get in, I'm at 600 world ping. It was unplayable. I ended up hearthstoning out to Oribos and my ping went back to normal, but currently it is next to unplayable, playing in the same area as a world boss. Yay! Thank you, Blizzard and DDoS attacks. I still don't really understand why anyone is DDoSing Blizzard, other than maybe as retribution for some of the terrible things Blizzard have done over their time, but who cares? Who cares that strongly? I care about the things that they've done, but not enough to DDoS the game. You're only hurting the players, not the company. So please, DDoSers, if you're out there watching this wonderful video, please just let me play my video game. I really enjoy it. In personal news this week, Team Fun got to 5 of 10 heroic, which is pretty solid. We did have a carry from... Oh, carry is a strong word. We did have an assistance from the other team who have cleared the fight before. The footage for our Zymox kill is actually playing at the moment behind me. I co-tanked with the wonderful Elon Tusks, also known as Stoned. It was a good experience. We finally got Zymox down, and we also managed to get Sun King's Salvation down. And we had a 20% pull on Lady Innova Darkvein. We do need to do some early runs again of the start of the heroic raid, just to gear everyone up a little bit. DPS across the board from our usual members is just a little lower than what we need it to be, but we'll get there. We're having fun. It's a really fun raid tier. I really like the Zymox fight, which is happening behind us. There's a lot going on, but it's a really fun fight, as you can see. But we will need to re-clear the first 3 just a few more times, and I think potentially do some BOE runs just to get everyone just a little bit more gear. In other news, this week I also started playing Elite Dangerous. A friend of mine got me a joystick set up, and it is an amazing game. I played it on stream the other night. I'm hoping to stream it again throughout next week. It's just about flying a spaceship around, to be truly honest. Outside of that, nothing much. That is the WoW news for the week. Thanks for stopping by, and for more regular Mox content, check out my stream over at twitch.tv/Moxie. That's twitch.tv/MOXCIE. Thanks again, and bye for now.